Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live. And we're coming to you from Palm Beach, although we're giving you the impression that we're coming to you from New York City, I guess.
A very snowy New York City.
A very snowy New York City, which they are praying for and have about a less than 50-50 chance of getting. But they do have a chance of getting it because there's a storm system that's starting, if it hasn't started already, south, moving north. That's going to get colder and colder and colder as it moves and turn from rain to sleet to ice rain to snow. Now, that may be further north than New York. Could hit Boston pretty hard. We'll see. So there are going to be children in the West and in the Northeast that do get a white Christmas, which is very, very nice for them and very, very difficult. Very, very difficult for the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, finally, they released Epstein files, right? Epstein files have now been released. Tell me what we figured out from it.
I would say a big thing we figured out is just how much time Bill Clinton spent with Mr. Epstein. I mean, there's a guy who used to tell us, well, I barely knew him. Well, I might have been on a couple flights with him.
I never kissed that man, girl.
Yeah, right. Now we see this guy's in all sorts of photos with Mr. Epstein. We see that. Look, a lot of this had already.
Was he in a pool or jacuzzi with the girl? And we can't tell if she's of age.
Right. We can't say the
but
age.
Although the report was that all the pictures of Clinton were with girls who were appropriately aged.
Who said that? Bill Clinton?
Whoever reviewed them.
Right.
And someone else said that is not true of Epstein. The front page of the Post today, they have the young ladies' faces blocked out, claims to be pictures that he has in compromising position with seriously underage girls.
With kids.
With kids.
It is, and I know the photos you're talking about, they've been redacted, but it is one thing that this additional dump has confirmed is just what a creep this Epstein guy was. Some of the photos, and again, portions of the photos are redacted, but even what you can see, it's awful. And it does appear, Mayor, that there was a group of people at best to just turn the other cheek to this kind of behavior, right?
Yeah, I mean,
at best.
Is there anyone that was really friendly with him that wasn't a Democrat?
And that's the other thing. And Democrats now claim, look, we all care about the victims. We've said that on this show.
Well, then why did they withhold it all during the Biden years?
And then Democrats now claim to care, and they only started caring this year with Trump in office. Where were they for the 4 years of the Biden administration? Some of us have been consistent.
This guy's cover it up. That's what they were doing.
Right. They took their hatred for Trump to get him to care about these victims.
Right.
That's maybe right. If that's the genius of the Trump, strategy here, I'm all about it.
And here's the other thing. And the mayor, you're longtime friends with the president, but I've gotten to see him and know him a little bit these last few years, and it's obvious this is not the type of guy that would just let this sort of behavior happen around him. With him just standing by and not doing anything. No. He's obviously a person who
he did throw him out over less than that.
Over less than that, and maybe at the time he's like, this guy's, he's got good judgment. He knows people.
Harassing adult
women, right? And so the president seemed to know before anyone that this guy's a creep. He didn't want him anywhere around. Threw him out of the club. Anyone that has spent any time with President Trump, it's hard not to just know this is a type of man. He's a man.
Threw him
first
out
of all,
his club. He threw him out of both clubs.
This is he wouldn't tolerate this sort of behavior from a member, from a friend, from anyone around him. Being this inappropriate with kids, they like to say underage girls and that. Let's just call it what it is. These are kids. And President Trump is not the type of guy that would let this happen.
Of it is you have names revealed, but you don't have facts with those names.
Right.
So what do you make of those? I mean, what we make of them is some are innocent, some are guilty, but how do we?
That's right, Mayor. And look, a good number of these folks are likely innocent, right? I mean, this is someone who found his way into, the top circles of government, finance, business. And so there's a good chance a lot of folks came across him right at events, met him. And, if you're someone famous or something, you get a picture with him. He gets a picture with you. And so I agree with you. You do want to be careful not to implicate anyone wrongfully. I do think people are sophisticated enough on this story, especially with all the coverage it's gotten, to make that, to make those sorts of, to separate, right. Those things. However, people with ulterior motives, the media, they tend to, they tend to muddy the waters, right? Especially when it comes to President Trump, and if they were able to find some Republicans in there. Unfortunately for the news media and the Democrats, it's
They
just
can always find Republicans. Republicans can't agree 100% on anything. But
that's true. Well, Thomas Massey, right? Again, what is he doing? Thomas Massey, this guy, just like the Democrats, all of a sudden he cares about the victims. All of a sudden he cares about, getting to the bottom of this. Where the hell were you for the last 4 years? And so it's hard to take it serious. And it's very sad what Democrats have done, because maybe there was a chance for us to get some real justice here. And the Democrats have chosen to make it all political.
If we stuck with it.
Right.
In the right way.
Right. And so the Democrats are to blame for politicizing what is a very sick and sordid story. And they've permanently, I believe, damaged, it's not a case, but they've damaged any chance at getting to the bottom of this matter.
Well, very shortly, we're going to celebrate the birth of God.
3 days. Wow.
There's our depiction right over there.
Check that out.
Light.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, I'm pointing the wrong way.
No, you're pointing the right way. That's it.
There's the birth of Jesus.
Look at that. It's like an aerial shot.
Now, part of what this reflects, of course, is the importance of humanity and the preeminence of God. There are several writers that wrote into the New York Post today saying that there's a certain governor in America that thinks she's God because she's approved assisted suicide. And that's Governor Hochul. Well, one might also mention the fact that she approved 7, 8, and 9-month-old pregnancies, which requires the smashing of the skull of the baby. So,
Merry Christmas, everybody. Jeez.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to God Hochul. Human life is not in your hands, and thank God, because you're so stupid. Mondami is starting to get ready for his administration, and the signs are ominous. He has yet to have a meeting with any of the representatives of the charter schools. The charter schools are the only schools in his public school system that are performing at or about grade level.
Right.
But there is a cap on them. You can only have a certain number. And the teachers union does not allow for expansion of it. It would be in the best interest of the people of the city if they were expanded, and the best interest of the poor people of the people of the city. But the teachers union opposes it. So our socialist communist mayor is scared of the teachers union. You know why? Because it's got a lot of money and because it's a communist union. That's why. These schools are outperforming the public schools massively on the same tests, in the same neighborhoods, with the same children, same type of children. And the decent parents in the neighborhood have big, long lists for charter schools, but they can't get in because the state is not allowed to build anymore, because when the teachers originally allowed it, they put a cap on it. Only so many. So they don't have competition. So they can take their long vacations and what amounts to 2 months off altogether with, we start putting in their free periods and rest periods, one would actually think they're working hard. Oh, yes, there are some very heroic teachers, and they're very good, but they are mostly in charter schools, private schools, and parochial schools. And the ones in public schools are getting worn out because they're not being especially rewarded for that. They voted that down. So on education, his team of advisors have constantly been against charter schools, constantly in for government schools, government indoctrination starting at 2 years old. So that's going to start September. September is the next school year that he would have complete control over. Whether he can make changes mid-year, I don't know. I don't think so. Not really material changes. So maybe he'll change his mind by then. I don't think he's allowed to change his mind because I think the SDA will stop him from doing it. He's got a communist group sitting right on top of him that can stop him from doing anything. And so far, they've been very, very successful when he's had to backtrack. So charter schools, which is one of the best things we found to bridge this gap, it's not going to work for them. That's all. Just not going to work. His team on education has absolutely nothing to do with anything. And his team in general is absurd. I'll give you some of the names. One is named Julie Sue. She's a pro-union progressive who allowed billions in fraud when overseeing the California unemployment benefits and couldn't win Senate approval to serve as President Joe Biden's labor secretary. Well, she's one on the list. For education, Anthony Almonte da Costa was seeking to be in charge of it. And he had to withdraw because of his anti-Semitic record and anti-police tweets. Right. So that's good. Stephen Banks, who he wants, I guess, to be the chancellor, I guess, who's a social justice attorney, has been a consistent advocate of a anomalous czar to double spending to address homelessness, which means we'll double the number of homelessness, not double the number of people who are homeless. They're keeping on all of the de Blasio lefties and left-wingers to getting rid of people like Randy Mastro, who knows what he's doing. So this is going to be Adams taken completely left, enthusiastically, without Adams around to put some kind of break on it. So it's terrible. Now, we do have a chance in the state, but how badly was it hurt, Ted, when Stefanik stepped down?
How much did it? Say it again?
How much is the chances of taking the state hurt by Stefanik stepping down, since we have a very good candidate to come into her place?
I think that getting that down to a one major candidate here now, Bruce Blakeman, allows Bruce to, kind of focus on a general election matchup against who is considered maybe one of the weakest incumbents of the cycle. So Blakeman can now focus on raising his name ID outside of his home county, right in his home area, and instead of having, which would have been a very expensive, drawn out primary fight between two very competent candidates that President Trump himself has said are two good candidates. I know you've spoken highly of both individuals at different times, Mayor.
Right.
But
they're both excellent. They both are excellent candidates, and it would have been hard to choose between the two of them.
Right. And I think Mr. Blakeman's in as good a chance as has a good a shot as anybody. It's a tough cycle, right? It's going to be a tough cycle,
and he's had an excellent background as a executive and administrator.
Right. And we're going to try to get him on the show here.
Let's see if that can work.
We want to get you on, Bruce, if you see this, and we'll reach out to your team and keep trying here. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, a shock, Mayor, with Stefanik getting out of the race. And of course, a lot of folks are surmising that she did so because she wasn't able to get the Trump endorsement. She says she wants to spend more time. She has some young kids, so she wants to be a mom. But it
Trump
is
was going to let him
interesting.
battle it out.
Trump was going to let him battle it out, and I think she was banking on his support in the primary. Again, she's been one of his staunchest supporters in Congress. But the president, and you know this better than I do, apparently has been longtime friends with Bruce Blakeman even before he was president.
And his brother and the family. Yeah.
And the family. And, you know, President Trump, he can be very loyal to his friends, right? And in this case,
well, he had two friends.
He had two friends in the race. And
I think it's a surprise to us because so many of us have an affinity for Stefanik, right?
Oh,
she's been
yeah.
fighting the good
the
fight.
MAGA movement loves her.
She has been, but Mayor, we right when we heard Blakeman was considering, we weren't shocked. We even talked about the fact that Blakeman would have a shot in some places that maybe Stefanik wouldn't be as strong because Elise has kind of made, you know, gone all in with President Trump. Not that Blakeman's not all in with President Trump. But he might be seen, you know, being an executive, a county executive, you can kind of be judged a little bit differently, right, than members of Congress, right, where I feel like they're more judged on the partisan.
You have executive responsibility, and you're on the line for more things. You're used to being held accountable, which a congressman never. For practical things, right, happening in the county. Exactly. And the mayor, you know this as the most successful mayor in the history of the country. No, I'm going to sound like President Trump here, the history of the world. But look, we laugh, but he's definitely in the running for that title. So you understand how different it is, right? A race, or even how people perceive you as a mayor, as a county executive, as opposed to Congress, you know, U.S. Senate, where more of these grand ideas and partisan ideologies more at play, maybe. Mitt Romney thinks the taxes should be raised on rich people. And he says he feels that way because he's rich and his taxes should be raised.
Mitt, why don't you just donate more to the federal government?
That's what the New York Post said.
I beat him to it.
Okay, Mitt, back it up with your money. Put in a check for a couple $100,000, huh?
A couple $100,000. Jeez, a couple.
Well, I don't know how much he would pay. I mean,
back pay it too, Mitt. If you're really so into that.
Let's figure on $2 million a year.
Yeah, but going back when you weren't an empty nester, when you were raising all those kids.
Yeah, when you're making all that money.
Making all that money,
but
when
you were destroying companies in order to make the money. Yeah.
Bain Capital. Even
the villain from Batman. They couldn't pick a better name for Bain Capital.
Is that really the name of it? Bain Capital?
Yes.
That is one of the main villains in Batman, the movie. He named his company Bain Capital. And he knew he was going to run for president when he named that. I don't understand. Yeah. You know Mitt real well. He was an opponent of yours.
I don't know him real well, but I do know him, yeah.
You campaigned with him.
I did. That's
okay.
Let's put it that way. Elon is becoming close to the richest man in the world. That was a tough situation he had himself in, right? He got himself out of it beautifully, right?
Oh, that's right. He probably lost some money when he supported Trump. He's not the only one.
They tried.
He's not the only one.
The activist investors tried to short Tesla, and a lot of believers, myself included, decided to, call their bluff, and we bet on Tesla, and it's had like a 400% increase since the short sellers wanted to take it down. So he's had a good run.
Well, Fulton County, Georgia, 315,000 ballots that weren't authorized, that nobody knows where they came from in Fulton County. If it voted at all similar to everybody else in Fulton County, which was 65% for it was about separation of 11%, right, Ted?
Yes.
So it was like, I don't know if they hit 50. It was like 49.7 to 48 point something. And here we have 315,000 votes that were not tabulated. They were illegally certified. They were tabulated.
Right.
But they were excluded from the final votes. So I don't know where this is going to go. But the fact is that Fulton County has screwed up this election in so many different ways that the They're going to have to pay damages on this because this lawsuit they knew was a phony lawsuit from the very beginning. Look at the horrible illegal arrangements they made to do it with her boyfriend and taking money so she could make money on it. Going off on these vacations in the middle of this important case with the money that she was sucking out of the phony manipulation of the Federal Criminal Assistance Act. So there's a lot here, and the thing that drives me crazy is it didn't take so long for them to indict Trump and
everyone.
Eastman. Mark Meadows, a lot of people you don't know.
Our electors in Michigan.
This has been going on now with her for 2.5 years.
Honestly, I feel like if we're going to do an in-depth deep dive podcast, I would think that this would be a topic worth exploring for sure. If you would be willing to sit down, I'd be willing to.
Yeah, I mean, she has been getting away with this now. She's the sitting DA deciding who to prosecute. And she brought this case based on a statement she knew was, I think, she knew had serious questions about it, unless Raffensperger didn't tell her. May not have even given her all the tapes.
That's another can of
I
worms.
hope we get a chance to vindicate that, because we have a chance of getting 12 minutes of tapes on that morning.
Oh my gosh. And to think what everyone lived through.
All right. Well, Mayor, we have a very special guest joining the show. We want to make sure he's ready to go here.
That's what I was waiting for.
Mr. Ticktin. Peter Ticktin is on the show. Can you hear us, sir? We got to wait here. We have to refresh that.
And if we could readjust the camera a little, I'll be able to see him better, Ted.
Yeah. We will we'll work on that. He's we'll move that TV up.
Where's he coming to us from?
We're gonna wait on this. We're a few minutes early. He's coming on at 8:30 here, but we need him to refresh his screen. So I'm gonna try to communicate with his team here.
Well, let's try and refresh his screen as we take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a break while he does that.
That's a good idea.
So we'll be right back.
A little more
Pay
water.
the bills here.
Here.
So we'll be right back.
Rudy, you were smiling in your sleep.
I know the perfect gift for Christmas. Go to Rudy.coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnels to Towers at t2t.org.
Rudy, you were smiling in your sleep.
I know the perfect gift for Christmas. Go to rudy.coffee. I was looking at the commercial for
Coffee.
Rudy Coffee. It looked good.
Right.
But that wasn't the one with me. Oh, I should.
Don't give it away.
Sorry, children. We have with us Peter.
Peter Ticktin is on the phone by video. Peter, can you hear us? So we got him, but I don't think he can hear you. So we'll keep trying here. He's got a interesting connection. Maybe
Is he in a car?
Get Mermaid's phone number.
It looks like a car. We'll keep trying. We'll keep trying to get. We'll try guy to get him. Could be the snow, Ted. Right? What do you think? You think it's the snow?
I think it might be. So we're going to try to get him back on here. In the meantime, Mayor, what was your reaction when you first heard that, over 315,000 votes in Fulton County lacked the required poll worker signature necessary?
Well, 315,000 votes were pulled out of Fulton County because they were illegal, as they should have been. Trump would have won the election by about 40,000 votes, maybe 50,000 votes. So I really do expect now that the people that attacked me over Georgia will come and kiss my feet. Nothing less is acceptable. I told you that was screwed up, and I am right. It was screwed up. I told you that he won that state. And when the president said to the slimy Secretary of State, you can't find me 11,000 votes, he's talking about a potential couple of 100,000 here. Remember, the votes in Fulton County were like 3-1 for him. So if you just take those votes out,
Right.
you deprive him of about 145,000 votes, I think.
Right.
And then he loses by 135,000. And Trump wins Georgia. Now, you still have to win another state, but it isn't like there weren't the same problems elsewhere, which they very arrogantly dismiss as saying, even the Wall Street Journal and the Post arrogantly dismiss it as saying, the president deceitfully said that the election was rigged, wrongfully suggested that the election was rigged. They got to get that wrongfully out of there. That's an opinion, boys, not a reality. The reality is that you can now say with a certitude, even beyond a reasonable doubt, that Georgia voted for Trump.
Right. And we have now with us, Mayor, our very special guest, a man that most of us, our audience, definitely knows,
The one and only Peter Ticktin. He's the founder of the Ticktin Law Group, which we didn't know this, Mayor, is based in Deerfield Beach, Florida.
Oh, really? Right here.
That's not far from us in West Palm, although you couldn't tell by the mayor's background. That's where we are.
Well, Peter, how are you?
Oh, it's just wonderful. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah. You are America's mayor.
Thank you.
I tell you, anybody who's watched you over the years, over the decades, has to admire you, Rudy. You're just an amazing lawyer. Good man.
Thank you. So tell us, what's going on?
Well, Tina Peters is out of solitary confinement. They had only 15 days.
Tell them about the case. This is the case under state law that they put under state law so they could unfairly prosecute her without, hopefully, from their point of view, consequence. However, you've got a very good argument that the pardon power reaches her. So could you explain that? That for an ordinary person, that'd be a little complicated. Although I think on the merits, pretty much everyone is with her.
Well, I have to tell you, there's a, you know, I just don't meet many people that aren't pulling for her. The government in Colorado, though, I mean, they're in there because of the false election. You know, I mean, that's really what's been going on here, and I don't want to miss this opportunity. It's so important for the public to know that it isn't just a theory that the machines were corrupted and that they basically predict the outcome of the election. You know, the fact of the matter is we can prove it now. We have enough to show what these machines are capable of, and that, you know, you hear that people put in, different kinds of drives and so on, you know, into the computers, or they hooked up wires to them. Now we see that it's not even necessary. They have phone chips in them, and they actually phone out to a central place that tells them how to rig the votes. It's just between the computers, and we know that that was all happening, believe it or not, from Serbia. So this is an international deal.
Wow.
And
So tell us exactly what Tina is. Well, she's in jail now. I mean, tell us what
she's in prison. She's in prison. She's a political prisoner.
No doubt.
Okay. I mean, and treated as one. Okay. I mean, you don't take somebody who is convicted of white collar crimes, you know, albeit she's innocent of these, but you don't take somebody who's convicted of white collar crimes and put them into the one unit that holds the people that are the monsters, the murderers, the people that you need to keep people away from. You know, fortunately, she's actually been able to get their respect. So, so hopefully she will be safe, but you never know, you know, what's going to happen in a dangerous place like that. And, you know, so they not like take her and put her in the worst unit, but then they put her in a cell that was 21 square feet, 7 by 3, and you got double-decker beds.
The jail she's in?
Yeah, in the prison she's in, they put her into a subsized cell. She and her cellmate were in this cell that was 7 by 3.
Ooh, two people?
Two people. So, yeah, one has to be on the bed if the other one's standing. Yeah. But this is more than just not having space and being cramped. It's also a sign to everybody else that's in the unit that these people are below them. Okay. It's degrading to put somebody into a smaller cell. So with all the things that I've been saying about it, they now have moved her to a larger cell. So now she's in something that's 5 by 7. You know, these things are just too. I mean, which is also not originally a cell. The first one was the place they kept the washing machine and dryer, and then they turned that into a cell. And now she's in a place that was a storage room that they've turned into a cell.
Wow.
So, yeah, you know, this is
what prison is it?
La Vista in Pueblo, Colorado. It sounds nice, doesn't it? La Vista, you know, the view. It's a horrible thing to happen.
And her sentence is
9 years. 9 years. But she did something very, very bad. Okay, you know what she did? She had an expert come in, a fellow who was actually qualified and certified by Homeland Security to image computers, image the hard drives of computers. That's what he does. Only this particular fellow couldn't use his name, his right name, because in recent cases he brought down a cartel, one dealing with human trafficking. So they're gunning for him, and he can't use his right name. So because he used the wrong name, they found a way to charge her because, for misrepresenting somebody's name. Although, technically you're allowed to use any name you want as long as it's not for fraudulent purpose. And it wasn't for a fraudulent purpose. She wasn't able to testify, wasn't permitted to testify as to why she used a different name or anything else. I mean, she didn't get to put on her defenses. I mean, one of her big defenses, I mean, because what she did, the terrible act, was she imaged the hard drive of one of the Dominion machines that was hers. She's the one that signed the contract as the clerk of Mesa County.
She imaged it herself.
No. She had this expert come in and image it.
Oh,
She wouldn't know how to image it. Most people wouldn't have a clue as to how to image a hard drive of a computer. So she had it imaged. And a few other clerks did the same thing. They imaged their computers too. But when push came to shove, they gave them up. They gave up all the proof, all the evidence to others. She refused to give it up. So they decided to teach all the clerks in, not just the state, all the clerks in the United States a lesson that if you don't do what they say and destroy the evidence. See, what happened was there's a woman named Jenna Griswold. Jenna Griswold is the Secretary of State. She inserted herself into this whole process. She didn't belong in the process. The deal between Dominion Machines and Mesa County was a deal that was made by the clerk. The Secretary of State had nothing to do with it. But
it was made by the clerk?
No. Okay, so the machines are Dominion machines.
Right.
Okay. And the Dominion machines, once they were opened, what do you think's on the motherboard? The motherboard had phone chips on it. You know, like what's in your cell phone. With those chips, people are able to access you. They're able to call you, or you can call them.
Right.
So other computers can call this computer, or this computer can call other computers, and basically arrange to deal with what's going to happen. The machines, you know, if we have the computers at work, if we have, you know, whether you call it Dominion or whatever you call it, Liberty, doesn't make any difference what the name of them is. They will cook the election. They are capable of swaying many millions of votes. And the way that it seems to work is that in the voter rolls, like in New York State, there's probably upwards, from what I'm told from an expert, there's upwards of what we call modified duplicates. And it could be upwards of 2 million of them. Now, these are imaginary people. Okay. So let's say you were voting in you know, Manhattan, you know, and you're registered to vote in the borough of Manhattan. Okay. There might be 2, there might be 4, there could be 6, 8, 9. It doesn't make any difference. Rudy Giuliani's. And each one of them, they're in the voter rolls, but they're in the archives. So they're not readily apparent. And so there could be, let's just say that there's 4 Rudy Giuliani's. Each one of them has your same driver's license number.
Right.
Your social security number, your home address, your telephone number, and your birth date may be altered a little bit, and the name may be altered a little bit, and that, you know, your middle name may be an initial rather than the full name.
Right.
But other than that, all the information is exactly the same, except one thing for sure is different, and that's the voter identification number. And
So
you
that
only
means-
go in
does that
and
mean that
vote
I-
once.
I can get to vote twice?
No, you only vote once. You don't even know the other ones are there.
Somebody else votes that.
Well, you could say somebody else if you want to say a machine is somebody else.
Well, you mean somebody, the party votes it. Whoever's in control of the machine votes it.
Whoever's in control of the computers in Serbia was in charge of the 2002 election.
So they set up a
That's
formula. They set up a formula like is done in the other cases.
Yeah, and except that it's almost unlimited. Where do you think Biden had 81 million votes? He didn't. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we
There's
know
no
that.
chance he could have possibly this man in the basement. I mean, it's so
We just saw
absurd.
300. We saw 305 go away yesterday, but
That's right.
um,
So there's a picture of Tina Peters, of course.
Right. And Tina Peters,
What was she prosecuted
This-
for?
She was
What's the crime?
prosecuting for making the copy of the machine, making a copy of the hard drive,
Okay, she made a
which
copy
she
of
had
the-
to do pursuant to federal law.
It violates federal law to do that, you're saying?
It violates federal law. Okay, so this woman, Jenna Griswold, okay, who's now the Secretary of State of the state of Colorado. There's 64 counties in Colorado. 62 of them were Dominion machines. Kathy Griswold personally oversaw that in every single county, they went in and they did something called a trusted build. Now, a trusted build is a term of art. What it means is that you have a program that you insert into your computer that upgrades a program without destroying any of the data. Okay, these were not trusted builds.
Right.
They were called trusted builds, but they were anything other. They should have been called trusted wipes, because they wiped the computer, they wiped the screen, and then they installed a new program on top of that. So when you wipe and then rewrite on top of that area that's been wiped clean, there's no way to ever get that data back again. And this is what this woman did, who's the Secretary of State. This is a criminal, a federal criminal. She violated statute 52 USC section 20701. Okay, and that requires anyone who is in charge of any data to hold that data on an election for 22 months. That's a federal law. Or they can spend a year in prison. And
what happened to the data?
What's that?
What happened to the data?
Gone.
Yeah, like in Michigan and other places.
Yeah, these are captured states. These places they're going to come around. I trust Donald Trump to be able to fix the situation. He's got 3 more years to get it done.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, Tina is doing a good job, and she was prosecuted because she revealed this. Correct? I mean, she didn't do.
She's prosecuted because she saved evidence. So the person who saves the evidence, the real evidence, the one who saved the truth, is behind bars,
and she didn't affect an election, alter an election, change.
No, God, no. She's a good person. She's an
and all the
honest
people
person.
who did that are walking free.
No, worse than that. The people that did that put her where she is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Now, what is going on with? There's a discussion of a federal pardon for her, isn't there?
There's more than discussion. We got a federal pardon.
Right, but I mean, the discussion is it valid?
Well, of course, it's valid. The question is, does it extend to state?
Yes, yeah, does it extend to the state?
Okay, and we have, a couple of really good arguments that say yes, it does, and it has to. Okay, so the first thing we look at is the fact that before the end of the Civil War, like 2 months ago, I would have said impossible. It only refers to federal offenses.
Right.
And the reason I would say that is because, let me pull out my pocket constitution here.
Love that. This is our kind of guy, Mayor.
Well, these days I need it,
Well, we haven't even talked about his your time leading the president in military school, but that's for another time.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll tell you, I know Donald Trump pretty well. Lived with him in our senior year, in the barracks. We met in my sophomore year when we were both 15, but we actually lived together when we were 17.
Wow, so
that's really great.
That's a whole nother story for another time.
We'll have to talk about that.
Oh my goodness.
No, I got to tell you, what a good guy he was. He was loved by his fellow cadets more than you can imagine it would happen in these schools. He was just a good person. He always had your back. He was the number of times, other captains, they can be brutal. They can go up to a cadet standing in formation with poured arms. He's holding his rifle, standing at attention, and knee him in a place you don't want to knee a guy. A lot of captains are like that, or they didn't care. They would just.
Well, you were his captain, right, Peter?
No. He was my captain.
Oh,
he made me a platoon sergeant, And I
Okay.
basically, I tell people I ran his first company for him, Company A.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, but yeah, no, and he did tell a mutual friend of ours that I was his best friend in high school. So I'm taking that to the bank. But besides that, I felt the same way. We never declared it. We weren't little children.
No, you don't have a ceremony for best friends. You just are or you aren't. That's right. But so what's going to
Yeah,
happen?
yeah. But I'll tell
What's
you,
going to happen?
but he would never. I just want to say, since I mentioned that about captains, he could have done it. He could have gotten away with it because it was done all the time. No captain for it. Well, one did, but anyway, that's another story. But he would never do that to anybody. You know, he was the kind of guy that always remembered it, always knew. Like when mail call, he knew who didn't get cookies from home. He knew who never got a letter from home. He dealt with these people with his sense of humor and somehow made it better for them. I mean, he had a heart then, and the same heart that you see now.
Yeah, isn't that
Same
great?
guy.
Wow.
But just look, when you live, they say you don't know somebody till you live with them.
So now, what is happening with the pardon? The state is refusing to
honor it. Yes, they're refusing to honor it. So, it's kind of interesting. You let me just go back to the last question you asked. Like, what are my arguments? Why do I think it'll work?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's pretty clear. It's Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, paragraph 1, basically says he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except for cases of impeachment. So it basically has one exception, doesn't have an exception for states or whatever. But, the fact of the matter is it's pretty broad. And so the question is, what does it mean, offenses against the United States? Well, you and I, looking at this today in the 21st century, we know darn well what that means. That means the United States laws of the country, federal laws. The United States, you and I understand the United States to be federal, right? You and I both understand when I talk about the United States, I can say it is a beautiful country, right? If I were to talk about the United States and say they are a beautiful country, you'd look at me like I've got 5 heads. Before the Civil War, you would just say it was a great country. They would look at you like you have 5 heads. Before the Civil War, people saw the United States like all of the United States. They were looking at the states and understanding that they're plural. So, like, for instance, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, okay? Article 3 of the Constitution, Section 3. Talks about treason. Treason against the United States. Again, you're thinking the United States, the federal government, right?
Right.
Shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, not its enemies.
Yeah, yeah. They're talking about a 50 or whatever number of states now, right?
Well, 36 at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was right after the Civil War, and there were 36 states in the nation during the Civil War. So, yeah, I had to look these things up, because I'm doing this.
So what you're saying is that the term before the Civil War, the word United States encompassed the entire country.
Well, think of it like this.
Even now it does, except for legal distinctions. If someone says, I'm coming to the United States, they may not know at this point if they're going to New York or Texas, or they're just coming. They may not even know the difference between New York and Texas.
Right. No, I tell you something. When that war that killed 750,000 people out of a population of 100 million, okay, that war changed everything. It united the country. That's what we say. But what it really means is it really made a very, very strong central government. And before that, each state was much stronger in its own right. And so it would be like, let's just say we put together, or not we, but somebody put together 4 countries or 10 countries in South America. So Ecuador, Paraguay, a couple of others got together and they said, we want to be united, right? And they call themselves the United Countries of South America. Okay. And then if you start thinking about them, you're thinking about the countries that are united, right? And that's the way you think about it. So the United Countries of South America is a they. We're going to give the United Countries of South America $1 billion, and you wonder, well, how much is, but you're not thinking that's the federal government. You're thinking,
Yes,
well,
right.
you're going to give a bunch to each country, all right? And because a state is the same thing as a country or a nation. We were called the United States, so the word states got to be used that way. We couldn't have been called the United Nations of America. We could have been called the United Countries of America. We're called the United States. And you and I are so used to that.
Yeah.
But before the end of the Civil War, because even if you look at the 13th Amendment, which is right before the end of the war, look at how they wrote that, which is really very telling. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. In the plural.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have said any place subject to its jurisdiction, it would have been the federal government we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating argument. Has it been made before?
No,
Argument
never
of
that I
first
can
impression.
find.
And have you made it yet? Have you
Yeah.
have you been at the point of
We're preparing. Okay, so we have a 3-pronged approach. I know it's hard to meet a man that's got 3 prongs. Right?
No, it's not. I'm used to it.
Anyway, it's a 3-pronged
All right.
approach.
What are they?
Okay. Okay. The first prong is to go back to the trial court and try to get her out of prison by renewing the motions to get bail pending appeal, and so on. Okay, that's not much to do with this. The 2 prongs for this are, number one, we're filing a suit in federal court for declaratory relief. We figure we can move that faster than a writ of habeas corpus. The court took a year to determine the writ of habeas corpus, or not, maybe 10 months, but it was a long time, that was terrible. But with a lawsuit for declaratory relief, we'll be able to deal with that on motion practice, whether it's a motion for judgment on the pleadings or a motion for summary judgment. We'll be able to move that pretty quickly. But then it still has to go to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. Then it can go to the federal court. So the third prong, which is really the first prong, which is going to get filed hopefully tomorrow, Wednesday at the latest, unless the courts are closed because Donald Trump did say. So but we're filing it in the state court, in the appellate court, where we have an appeal pending. I mean, oral argument is the 14th of January. So that's coming up pretty fast on us, and we want to get this thing heard first. So that's why I got to get it filed hopefully tomorrow. But this motion is a motion to determine the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal, a Court of Appeals, to determine whether or not they can even hear the appeal, or whether they have to basically declare that they don't have jurisdiction to hear the appeal because the pardon is good. See, they're in the crosshairs right now. They have a conundrum that we're about to deliver to them.
Well, it's going to be
because we have an appeal pending of what? Charges that are gone because of the pardon, or pardons that aren't, or charges or convictions that aren't gone because the pardon doesn't have an effect. They have to decide this. And once you get the appellate court, as you probably know, I'm sure you know, then you can go directly to the Supreme Court from the appellate court. Now, normally you got to go to the Supreme Court of the state, but in Colorado, they have legislation that basically says no.
Well, they have legislation that allows you to go right to the Supreme Court of the United States. Well, that's quite helpful.
Right, right. So then we'll be able to hear that. But there's also another argument that's much more important. Okay. I mean, this is a fun argument, but the real argument, the one that we should not lose, is one that even if it is just for states, even if I mean just for federal offenses, even if it is only for offenses against the federal government, these are in the interest of the United States. When you have something which is in the interest of the federal government and somebody's doing a wrong, then that is an offense against the federal government. And we've got some case law that deals.
I've seen some of that. That's actually what I thought your argument was. I didn't realize the first part of your argument.
Well, yeah, I gave you the second part before.
The second part of your argument got more attention in the newspapers. That in fact, it's essentially at the core, it's an offense against the United States, whether it's in state court or federal court. The victim is the United States of America.
If she's not allowed to take a snapshot or an image of a hard drive of an election machine because there's something wrong with her doing
in an
that
election involving the United States,
then there has to be something wrong against the United States.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And even though it's a federal crime, a state crime, it's still a crime against the United States.
Before we get off, Peter, what exactly did she do? She took a picture?
An image. In other words, created another hard drive exactly like the one that
for the purpose of illustrating this.
For the purpose of having it, so that you can then look at it and see what was on that hard drive.
But not for the purpose of affecting an ongoing election.
No, she's an honest person.
But I mean, I don't understand what the crime is, taking a picture of it for purposes of argument.
The crime was the way she did it, which was a little bit private and secret, because they wouldn't, they would have sent in the Marines,
because she went in and took a picture of the ballot.
Not a picture of the ballot, a picture of the hard drive.
Picture of the hard drive.
In other words, if I went to your computer, and did what they did, I could then take what I took, put it on my computer,
and that's a crime.
And I could run it. It'd be like running your machine.
So that's a crime.
No. They made it into a crime. She wasn't allowed to use her defenses.
What crime was she charged with?
Making a copy of the hard drive was one of the crimes. Another one was
But does it exist? Does it exist?
The person who was in her office.
Does it exist in the statute books?
No, they make these up as you go.
I mean, like there's a crime 18 USC section 220, right?
No, there's nothing. No, they make these things.
Does
up.
this have a?
The Secretary of State never had authority.
Does this have a section? Does it have a section number?
They have some section numbers, but they take things out of context.
Yeah,
I'll give you a perfect example. Take Stephanie Lambert. Okay, I don't know Stephanie. I think you know. Okay, she's charged as well. She's a lawyer that's charged in 2 cases in Michigan for her examining the election machines. Okay, and she had a judge that gave her an order to let her do it in the first place. Okay,
for examining the election. She's charged for examining the election machines.
Yeah, because once she examined her experts, rather, she never actually touched them herself. She had her experts examine these.
And
machines.
was that in the presence of people that could assure she wasn't going to change them or something?
No. This was after the election.
Oh, okay. Election's over. So.
Yeah. There's no changing it. It was even after the period that you're not allowed to touch anything. Yeah. And so she had these experts look at the machines, and they opened them up. That's how I know the phone chips are on the motherboard,
right? Because
they were able to not only find the phone chips on the board but just looking at it, but they were able to determine that they had been accessed on the night of November 5th, 2020.
She has a pardon for a crime where the gravamen of the offense is against the United States, and it's not a crime.
And it's not a crime. And she got 9 years for it.
9 years.
Disgusting. At age 69, she got
She
9
got
years.
9 years. I mean,
9 years.
The judge had the
Manhattan
option.
Supreme Court, you wouldn't get 9 years if you kill somebody.
It appears the judge had the option of probation, but chose 9 years in prison, citing the quote immeasurable damage that Peters had done to local
It's an argument.
elections and trust in the electoral process.
It's an argument that you're going to agree with, disagree with. There's no permanent damage done to anything.
No damage. No
Somebody can
restitution.
argue it and agree with it or not agree.
Yeah,
with
she 3 felony counts of attempting to influence a public servant, 1 felony count of conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation.
Yeah.
So they
But yeah, because impersonation, because the guy didn't use his right name, because his life is at stake if he does, because he's an American hero who's brought down a cartel that dealt with human trafficking. So he doesn't use his right name, but he doesn't use any name for any fraudulent purpose. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to use any name you want, as long as it's not for fraudulent
and you're in Colorado, right?
Well, I'm in Florida, but
case.
But
the case is in Colorado.
The case is in Colorado. She's in prison in Colorado.
I can't believe that Governor Feliz Navidad wouldn't give her a.
Oh God, yeah, Jared. Oh, surprise, Jared Polis isn't lifting a finger.
Jared Polis won't give her a pardon.
Look, these people are.
I know. I'm kidding you.
They need to be voted out. We need to have a fair election. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that are really, really important. Believe me, getting certain people out of prison is really important.
I know. I know that. I know.
Right?
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
That's Polis.
We play that every once in a while. We call him Governor Feliz Navidad.
Any chance we get, and you just gave us a chance to play him.
I can't imagine a jackass like that being. I attribute it to the high incidence of marijuana all around the state. None of them are quite.
Well, I'll tell you, part of everything that's going on is caused by the fact that there was decriminalization of drugs to a great extent, including marijuana. Think about it for a second. In 1999, 32% of all crimes were drugs, trafficking or whatever, possession. 32%. Let's just say that 7% is still occurring. Okay, somebody's got crystal meth, bye, right? But marijuana was the biggest of all of them.
Yeah,
that disappeared. They didn't reduce the size of the police forces. They didn't lower the amount of AUSAs in New York City, right? And they, and there aren't enough bank robberies to go around, right? So what are they going to do? They have to rationalize their existence. So they, if this happened with traffic cops, for instance, in your city, all of a sudden you're going to get pulled over for coming to a rolling stop rather than a full stop at a stop sign, right? All of a sudden the law moves the line when you're over policed. And that's part of and that's what we saw under Biden. Merrick Garland is a genius. I mean, I can't stand the idea of that guy, but he knew how to weaponize those people. And
we're going to have to continue this, Peter. We ran out of time, but this is a fascinating argument. You let me know when it's going to happen. I want to hear it. Okay.
I'd love to. Yes.
All right.
Let's stay in touch. Thank you for all you're doing.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure. Really good to see you.
At the point. Thank you, and have a great holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So my friends, that did go a bit, but it's very, very interesting how whether you agree or disagree with his ultimate argument about a pardon, and I'd have to think about it more, because the first part of it I had never thought about. The second part of it, I'm not sure of. When it's a pardon and the ultimate underlying offense is a federal offense, and it does say offenses against the United States, did the pardon power embrace that as well? I think that's a pretty good argument. The first one is one that I hadn't heard before, that when we were talking about the United States before the Civil War, we were talking about it as all of the states not a separate entity, the United States and the state of Florida, the United States and the state of Kentucky. So when we say the president can pardon any offense against the United States, it means all the states. And when they go ahead and start explaining it and saying, and they and their instead of singular, were they meaning to talk about all the states? That's a good argument. Second one isn't a bad argument either, that you can have certain kinds. Let's say a person held up a grocery store in Brooklyn, as opposed to stole money from the Federal Reserve, and they decided to prosecute it as a state theft, which it would be. It'd be a federal theft and a state theft. Could the president pardon the second one because it's really an offense against his jurisdiction, the United States? This here, in the sense that it can fix a federal election, is dealing with offenses against the United States. So we'll have to see how the court deals with that. I think the problem he's going to have is the courts are going to be reluctant to expand the pardon power. I think they are. They're going to be, courts generally don't like the pardon power because it takes the case completely away from them ultimately. But they shouldn't really, because the pardon power has existed almost as long as we've existed. And when I say we've existed, I mean as a legal enterprise. It came along with the Magna Carta. It came along with the king. The king had the pardon power since at least Richard the Lionheart, John, his brother John, rather. And kings exercised the pardon power, and they exercised it in most cases. I'm sure there were times it was exercised irresponsibly, but there isn't much history on that. It's generally, you know what it comes from? It comes from the fact that Great Britain is a Roman Catholic country originally, and it comes from the power of confession. And it's something analogous to the priest has the right to forgive your sins, and the king should have the right to forgive your governmental sins, to show that people can be reformed, people can change, they can confess, and they can reform. And a lot of the rules about pardons come out of the rules of the theology of confession. And this goes along for centuries, and it continues after it becomes a Anglican communion. Well, in any event, we'll be back tomorrow night. We're going to send you over to Dr. Maria, where you're going to see a Christmas show, among other things. You're going to see some strange individuals in that Christmas show.
Yeah, I don't know if they've seen it. Yeah, we got.
Yeah, you'll see. You guys see a little Christmas show with the good Dr. Maria. So we're going to see you on. We'll see you tomorrow night. But we're gonna actually have we're gonna have a.
We know.
I know. You keep repeating that, so I can't say anything. We're gonna
have something. Tune in tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. We're gonna have a great podcast on, and then on Wednesday night we'll be on live on Christmas Eve. So you have a great evening. Go over to Dr. Maria on the Lindell Network TV. And on Lindell TV, and pray for all those countries at risk. Pray for the United States of America. Pray for our great president, who needs strength. He's got strength, but he needs yours. We all do.
Tina Peters.
And pray for Tina Peters, who we heard quite a heck of a story about today. Another person who's being persecuted. Pray for all of them that the Bidens have persecuted. The ones in the past, the ones being persecuted right now. Because there are a lot of them. You don't realize it. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil. tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk,